the ANC's Gauteng conference is expected to get underway in Benoni. Lebogang Mahile and Panyaza Sufi, the two MECs, vying for the position of the ANC's provincial chairperson. So in a recent opinion piece, a former Gauteng premier, that's Mbhazima Shilowa, warns that the ANC should in fact look beyond individuals when electing leadership and should rather focus on the broader collective capable of galvanizing the electorate, especially in the run-up to 2024. In fact, Mbhazima Shilowa joins us this morning live from Cape Town as we unpack this opinion piece of yours. Mbhazima, it's great to have you with us on the program, and I want to hone in on exactly that opening line in your article where you talk about looking beyond the two candidates, trying to galvanize a broader collective in terms of getting the electorate going ahead of 2024. What does that galvanizing look like?
Yes, good morning, and thanks for having me on. I'm using the experience that I had when I was in Gauteng from 1999, where I came in as the premier after similar fractious leadership problems, in which at a later time, by 2000, the whole PC was disbanded and we had to start from scratch. And at the time when we started from scratch to result in a new leadership in 2001, we decided we're not going to try and look for a chairperson, for a secretary, or for a deputy. We want to try and look at a broader collective that includes those 5 people, but also has a full PEC that represents the strongest from all the various factions. Because in that way, once the conference is over, you want everyone to pull behind them, especially now for Gauteng, where victory is not guaranteed in 2024. And in fact, they struggled 5 years ago. So it's now going to be even more stronger. And you don't want any part of the faction to not go out mobilizing, thinking, well, any case, the people who are going to be in government are not one of my own.
You're talking about when Tokyo Sexwale announced his decision to resign from his positions, Premier of Gauteng and Chairperson of the ANC in Gauteng. And what happened in the wake of that, as you describe in your article, is jockeying for positions and resulted in the factionalizing of the ANC in Gauteng. Why is this? Because jockeying is not a bad thing, you say in your article. But why does...
No, definitely.
It's what it leads to, right? The jockeying then leads to the factionalism, which arguably we can see still today.
Yes, at that time it had really led to even more fractious situation. I think at the moment it's not as bad as we make it out to be, because I guess, you know, the people in each region, you've got people who support both candidates, whereas before it was Johannesburg for one candidate, Ekurhuleni for another candidate. There was no middle road. Now it's more everywhere. And what my suggestion is, and I hope they can still do it tonight, is that before the final nominations, to allow for the two candidates a 10-15 minutes debate, each one to say, this is my vision of the ANC, this is my vision for the province, and this is what I'm going to do. One, to unite the ANC in the province, but secondly, to ensure that citizens as a whole support us as we go to the election.
Yeah.
It is possible that in that process, delegates may decide, you know what, this one has a better vision than this one, than simply that I came here having decided to go with Mbhazima. It doesn't really matter what anybody says. This is the person I'm going to for. And I think that's really what they can be able to do. Let me just say, though, I'm pleased that I think both candidates have read my article, and they've both said to me they'll take on board some of the issues that I've raised. So that's why I don't think there's that much animosity.
Yeah. And also, you know, the notion that as a delegate who's voting, I'm voting because this candidate is in a particular camp in the build-up to the ANC's elective conference in December.
Yes, indeed. Except that I always say to people that Gauteng is normally united behind candidates going into the ANC National Congress. They may differ on provincial leadership. So, except maybe for who may become deputy, who may become secretary, but in general, they're more likely to go there united on national issues. So these have got very little to do with national politics. It has everything to do with internal provincial issues.
Right. The cost of this kind of, the worst case scenario that you explain in your article, this kind of jockeying for positions, the factionalism that comes as a result of this. The ultimate cost is, of course, around the people who are meant to be served by these positions, right? It's ultimately about who is the best candidate to improve the lives of their constituents.
It has to be not who is the best candidate just for the ANC. It has to be who is the best candidate for the province. Who is the best candidate who, were we to win an election, will be able to put together an executive, a broader collective one, that will be able to get everybody on board. You see, the ANC in the province, they didn't lose some of the metros because their people did not vote for them. They lost because their most trusted foot soldiers decided we are not going out to mobilize people, and people themselves also did not vote for any other party but stayed at home. So they need to be aware of that and say, we want to put together a list and a group of people which will ensure that at least, even if we were to lose, all our people have come out to work, have come out to vote. That's the challenge that they have. It's not like before, where they just had to show up and win the elections.
Your final line there in your article is to Lebogang Maile and Panyaza Lesufi, because you say history will indicate whether the ANC died or was resuscitated in your hands.
Indeed, because what I'm saying is that one of them and the collective that they will put together will either be able to pull the ANC, have it retain the province in 2024, or one of them is going to lead the province, but it will be defeated. And history will indicate that it was under them. And I'm saying that for that to happen, it will depend on the kind of collective that they put together, that they are able to say, so-and-so is not in my faction, it's not in my slate at the moment, but I think he or she is a better candidate, so let me bring those people on board.
Mbhazima Shilowa, let me thank you for your time this morning. Former Gauteng Premier, giving us some interesting perspective there as the ANC's Gauteng conference gets underway in Benoni. Thanks very much indeed.